Welcome back everyone, Ronan here, and I just died on my second playthrough in the Enhanced Edition on Honor Mode. It's kind of an embarrassing death. I died to a dialogue trap. I selected the wrong dialogue and it instantly killed my group. For those who are wondering, that's in Act 3, next to King Borlis. There's that statue you talk to. I thought I selected the right one. So what I decided to do is, while I'm restarting my new game, I'm going to bring up some tips that I wrote down. And I'm going to try to cover them as fast as I can so that the video is not too long for you guys to watch. These would be my honor mode tips so that you can be successful in this mode. These tips can also be used in the other game modes. It's just you may want to stress some of these more when you're playing honor mode. It's not necessarily that combat's going to kill you. My game got deleted, so I'm going to do a new game, single player. Honor mode. Because what the hell. So my first tip would be use a scout. Unchain your character and use a scout, especially if you're unsure of the area, or even if there's dialogue like that statue. If I would have had a scout, only him would have died. So it's not such a big deal. That is probably one of the biggest ones. If you're doing traps, use a scout. Play it safe. Usually I use glass cannon pretty much on 3, even maybe 4 characters. I would recommend not doing so in honor mode. Maybe, especially your heroes, you may want to have them also as a tank class, just so they have more survivability. If not, put some points in constitution and it should be good too. If you suspect a chest is in a trapped area and you really don't want to go in there, teleport the chest. That's also a really good way to do things. It guarantees that you're going to live because you won't be going through the trapped area, so it's safer. You can always use hover also, and you can go through the trapped areas a lot easier. The mines may still blow up, I'm not 100% sure on that one, but pools, you won't be affected. Even lava, you can hover over lava. Yeah, be very careful of the out of combat areas. They still work real time, and then you engage a fight, and you're stuck in turn-based time, but the fireballs are still landing. One big one would be near King Borlis. Make sure you learn the enemies. Make sure you learn the enemies very well, their weaknesses, their skills, because you won't have access to the lore master. Now, I'm not sure if that's just honor mode or if that's all modes. Even if you're Lore Master 5, it does not give you a breakdown of their immunities. So make sure you know what you're doing in that case. Make sure you heal before the fight ends. Sometimes you could just use an extra bit of healing. If you're standing in a puddle and the fight ends and you don't have a sliver of health, you don't want your character to just automatically die. That sucks. just saying. So make sure that you plan accordingly. If you need an extra turn to just heal up your party, do that. Yeah, make sure you maximize your experience gain, because there's a cap on the experience you can gain in this game. There's no grinding involved. There's a limited amount of encounters you can access, and a limited amount of quests. So one thing you may want to do when you're done with an area, like Sight Seal sometimes, I don't do it on purpose every time. When I get caught stealing, I'll just kill everybody. I'll kill the vendors, I'll kill the guards, just to maximize your experience. What you can do also is kill the quest giver once you've received your quests. Not like you'll ever need them again anyway. Let enemies spawn. If there's a way for the enemy to spawn, like the spiders in the desert area of Lucula Forest, the eggs give no experience, the spiders give 4,500 experience. So that's a good way to do things. Bully got changed. It only affects people that are knocked down, not slowed, knocked down, blind. So just make sure you know this and that you plan accordingly. So I'll remove Bully for now. Escapist is very handy, and you should use it just in case you get a no shit moment and like your group's almost dead. Use Escapist, that way you can just retreat from anywhere. As long as you have it on at least one character, it should be good. 5-star dinner, the food actually got a really nice boost now. Doubling the effect of food is, I think, really good. The heals are done percentage based now, not like 5 or 6 healing. Now it's 5-10%. It does cost 4 AP though, as opposed to 2 for a potion. I would recommend getting pinpoint on a warrior, mainly because, or a rogue, sorry, on a warrior or a rogue. I'm using a ranger, so I'm not going to need it because I'll have all the arrows and everything. So on my knight, I get pinpoint, so that you can throw grenades actually where you want them to go. And another one that is really good to put with pinpoint, slingshot will give you an extra 5 meters. So now basically you have an extra option for your warrior to do damage or crowd control. So I would highly recommend putting 1 point in Scoundrel on a warrior, just so you can use those grenades at maximum efficiency. Because the grenades are really strong. You can get targeted by grenades early in the game, and holy crap, are they ever strong. In my opinion, wands are much better than staffs. The main reason, the extra stats. You get so many extra stats on a dual wielding wands than you would for a shield, and shield will slow down your movement. Know the areas. What I mean by that is Lucula Mine, for example, about the knights. You know, you can't kill them first time. But also know that you can't come back to Lucula Mines. Once you leave the mines, you're not coming back. So make sure you grab as much loot as possible. That would be a big one. The Sacred Stone, that Geomancer, you know, you may pass the first check, but then if you don't pass the second check and you're not ready to fight her, just make sure you're ready for that. That's a big one. Also, crossbows were fixed. They attack just like a bow, so you can't cheese anything with a crossbow anymore. You may actually need to use lockpicking. Not a big deal, just so you know. Always, or as much as you can, try to pull with a summon. Not sure if I have the right range here, but that will give you a great advantage because you can pull on your own terms and you have a meat shield in front of you. The other one is I found that the combat bar at the top is not as accurate as it used to be. I find sometimes there's discrepancies in pictures moving around, even though you're not crowd controlled. I find that just the bar is not as accurate as it used to be, so just be careful with that. Don't bank on your character using that exact turn. It caught me off guard a few times. Especially if it's your first time playing honor mode, like, make sure you look all around, because it used to be you'd only have these 3 guys to fight, and then really quickly you realize there's 2 other guys now. Also, summons have spells now, forgot to mention, though this can be very useful. Some summons actually have decent quality spells, like the Air Elemental actually has Teleport, or at least Feather version. There's new puzzles, new trap designs. Be careful. I don't know them all. Like I said, this is my first time playing through the straight through to honor mode. Carry trap disarm kits. Before they were like, man, not a big deal. But if you're gonna die and you can't reload, just disarm the traps as much as you can. I carry like 10 or 20 of them at all times. Maximize your AP use. You definitely want to bring the enemy in. You don't want to waste your AP on movement. Bottleneck them in, which is what I'm trying to do here anyway. I found that the combat on honor mode is still easier than the original version, the vanilla, on hard mode. I found that was harder, but then again, I'm also playing safer because I don't want to take risks. I usually play with a lot of glass cannon builds, just for, you know, faster clears, because you can kill almost everything in 1 or 2 turns. Be careful. I know that they kind of pull early, and it's not like most other games, but there are mimics in this game, so be ready for a fight if you know where they are. I got caught off guard. It wasn't a big deal, but just know that there are mimics in this game now, which is kind of cool. Warriors got a bit of a buff. They need less AP to actually do auto attacks or like melee attacks. They need 3, used to be 4 for a single-handed weapon, and they need 4 instead of 5 for two-handed weapon, which is actually pretty good. It makes warriors a lot more useful. Rogues, they got a huge nerf. You can't stealth in combat like you used to. It costs 5 AP instead of just the 1 at level 5. But if you had a ridiculous amount of dexterity on that character, you could essentially bring down the cooldown turns for invisibility or walk in shadows to actually work in your advantage. You can't do it as well as you used to be able to, so it kind of makes the guerrilla talent less useful than it used to be. And in the beginning, rogues will need a lot of AP to do damage. It's a giant change because you're dual wielding and your dual wield is not high enough yet, so that changes things. But dual wield is also good on a caster now because of the wands, so it's pretty good. Boss fights actually have mechanics now. It caught me a little bit off guard. King Boreas didn't really change. The first boss you'll encounter actually got a bit of a nerf. I find his AP is not overpowered, but he has vulnerability boosts, so there's a damage type that he won't suffer too. Just kill that node if you can, or outrange it, because if he gets out of range of those wards, which is not just him, it's carry a candle. I always bring a few candles from the beginning here, especially if you don't have fire spells in the beginning of the game. Like, I have a fire wand, so it might actually work, but so what you can do is light oil with candles, which works really well. They actually added some nice healing skills that they didn't have in the original. They made Vitality, which boosts your maximum HP. But they actually made it so it heals, and it's a boost for the entire group, not just one person. So that's a really nice change. It's actually really good. The range is kind of short, but you can use it as a buff, pre-buff for the fight, or you can just use it in middle combat to actually heal. It's really handy. And there's another AoE heal, I just haven't used it yet. Make sure you know your spell combinations to maximize your effectiveness. Combining spells is really handy. So let's say your character has, or an enemy has wet. You use the rain spell. You can now use lightning spells to boost your damage and effectiveness. Wet effect will boost your fire resistance, but will lower your lightning resistance. So you can definitely use that to your advantage. I have two mages generally, and they both have arrow for the teleport, because I really like that skill. And they also both have at least 1 point in Hydro for the healing and the rain spell. Since it's all based off int for their potency, it's not based off the level of the Hydro. It's actually really handy, especially if you're trying to heal out of combat. That's what I was trying to say. Candle went out. Bring it back in. I saved that fire scroll that it gave me here. So that's one way to use candles. Make sure you use crowd control. Crowd control is huge in this game. You can either use a ranger with the arrows that you get. That's great for crowd control. Or you can use two mages. You should pretty much not get hit at all. It's pretty awesome. I love it. I noticed that stat requirements for gear is much lower than before, which is nice. Tabard for the sarongs, they pretty much removed the requirements. So this is like a free item now to equip. Even armor needs a lot less strength. Weapons still need a fair amount, but I don't think it's as much as they used to. Use that to your advantage. You can stop spending points into your main stat if you boost a secondary stat and be more effective that way. Because really, the only reason why strength and dex is there is for the gear. It changes your chance to hit, but if you're using spells and skills, it won't affect it that much. Stay away from sneak. Sneak is pretty much useless now. You can accomplish the same effect if you're trying to steal from vendors and stuff with the walk in shadows or invisibility spell. I agree that it was overpowered. Now it's gotten nerfed, which is good, but don't advance the story more than you need to. If you make it to the 4th map before you're ready, the end of time will be affected. It'll change what you're able to access. Not a big deal because it'll unlock later in the game. I unlocked 7 rooms at once when I went back and managed to finish the storyline to reopen End of Time, which I could have used scrolls and spells and items I could have gotten from there. So that was kind of bad on my part. Use those bloodstones as you feel you need them. One change, if you haven't played EE yet, the blind is no longer like a stun. It doesn't lock out the enemy. It just makes him that he has to fight you in melee range. So whoever he is, he can still attack you just as long as he's in melee range. So just take note of that. Another change that happened was slow is not the same as oil. They added the oil debuff essentially. So just be mindful of that, because if you expect them to be slowed and you just did oil, oil will slow their movement speed down, and slow will actually reduce their AP recovery. So that kind of breaks up my tutorial video for honor mode. Just giving a few tips from what I've learned so far. If you have any other ones, please feel free to post them. I try to be as descriptive as possible. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I try to upload guides to further help. Whoa. Never mind. I just found examine. Alright. So there's a full examine window now if you right click. I was not aware of this. Well, there you go. There's another tip. There's an examine window now, which I don't know if it was there before. That is pretty awesome. Oh, alright. Well, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I try to release a video at least twice a week to try to improve gaming experience and with tips and tricks. Thanks guys. I'll catch you in the next video.